Now we don't have to argue, but we still need to figure that out.
I'm sorry. I just want to hear it from Rebecca.
Well, but she's not everything.
But it comes back on me.
Yeah, I know. And it's some of the other things we've been talking about that she's said this is the way it is when it sometimes ain't exactly. And it's up to interpretation. And so we just need to get those kind of deals straight, because there's a few other things that other people have asked
What's going on right now?
that we need to find out.
I press this.
Oh, boy.
Well, we don't have to have that.
No, we don't.
All right, you're live here.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ruidoso Council Workshop. And it's a little after 8 o'clock. And if we can have I'm going to call this meeting to order. We'll have a moment of silence, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right, thank you, everybody. It's supposed to be a wonderful, beautiful day again today. And I want to thank, see Ashley, I see Adam, I don't see Christella, but we had a wonderful, exhilarating conversation at the Water Law Conference. I'm still a buzz about it. Man, what a boring bunch of eggheads up there. But it's important because there's changes a coming, and it's all because of the peppered chub, maybe. It's a minnow. You and I would call it bait.
Mayor, we may have Adam's going to have to do the description on that.
Yeah. Peppered chub. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Crawford?
Here.
Counselor Letterman?
Here.
Counselor Salas?
Here.
Counselor Hooker?
Here.
Counselor Jackson?
Here.
All right. And Jenny, it's not easy being the rule keeper, is it?
No, sir. But it's okay.
Okay.
It's a great day.
All right. We just don't want you to get your feelers hurt and stomp out of here in a huff. Like Counselor Coughlin did one time. Those of you who were there will remember.
Ooh, I do remember.
Yeah.
A nerve was touched.
Yeah, because I said you people. Anyway, we'll have the agenda items today. These are for regular or consent. Item number 1 is discussion on Sierra Blanca Regional Airport reinstating ramp fees to allow the village to increase revenues needed to operate the Sierra Blanca Regional Airport. And they started work today? Yesterday?
They started yesterday at about 11:30. As soon as we were
Done?
2 planes on the ground, they got after it.
Okay, y'all remember we're redoing that other stuff for $1 million something?
Right.
And all that money is directed because to the airport.
To the airport.
Done.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Lee.
So in the past, the airport had ramp fees, and my understanding about a year and a half or so ago, they were set aside. So we would like to re-implement them, try to help out with our revenues, try to get our revenues back up and make it easier to operate the airport. So I've got stuff here. If some airports have facility fees instead of ramp fees. I've called around to several different airports and got all different kinds of ways they charge fees. Facility fees seems to be one of the most common. That's something that would be difficult for us to do because most of the people that fly in don't ever enter the facility. it's kind of hard to charge them a facility fee when they don't come in. They usually get in their cars and they drive out the gate. And we don't see them again until they drive back in the gate to get back on the airplanes. So our ramp fees, let's see. On mid-sized jet, I've got it set here to where if they purchase 50 gallons of jet fuel, we'll waive one night of ramp fee. So most of our jet traffic is in the mid-size range. Most of our traffic is in the mid-size range. I would say approximately half of what we see a month is probably the mid-size jet range. So $85 a night times, say approximately 200 airplanes would be 17,000 a month in revenue.
Do we
So
have that many airplanes a month?
Our average is, I would say, 450
A month?
a month.
Okay, where are you getting the 85? I'm missing it. You said the small jet is
I
150?
apologize. Did I not send this out?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I just don't see $80 anywhere.
Oh,
Okay, so down towards the bottom, right-hand column,
Size?
mid-size.
left-hand column, you see mid-sized jet.
Oh, 85, I'm sorry. Okay, on the ramp overnight.
So that's, if we charge $85 a night for 200 mid-sized jets, that's approximately $17,000.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
So for the layman, and I think I understand this, but I just want to say it for the World Wide Web. The ramp means it's that they're sitting out there somewhere, whether it be covered or uncovered. The plane is stopped, people get off, it's turned off, and they go away.
That would be uncovered.
Okay?
So the ramp is where our tie-down, where our T-boxes are at for the small planes, and then our jet line, but it's uncovered. There's sunshades there that would be their covered parking. That's on a separate, schedule. And those are rented by the night. That's already something that's in place.
And then the hangar is, if you want to put your plane in a hangar that night, then that's the fee that's listed in that first column.
Correct.
But now if I own, rent, whatever, a hangar, I don't have to pay any of this.
Correct. And no ramp fees, no, I mean, of course, you're already paying your hangar fee, so.
Yep, okay.
But yeah, there's no ramp fees for, tenants.
Got it, thank you,
People that have a hangar there.
thank you.
Yes, sir. So the mid-sized jets, 50 gallons, would waive one night ramp fee. So at 50 gallons of jet fuel, at our current price of $5.50 a gallon would be $275 per plane. And times, say, if we got 200 of them a month, that would be $55,000.
At our current fuel prices on our margins, so what does that net us out to? Because when we were looking, the net on that wasn't that much. Are we changing our fuel prices too?
On our jet fuel, it hasn't changed.
Oh, it hadn't changed.
No, sir. Our markup on it is $2.25 a gallon.
So we, additional 225, okay, good.
So that would average about $55,000 a month in jet fuels. So if a lot of them will come in and they'll ask, what are your minimums? What are your ramp fees? And we tell them, well, we don't have any ramp fees right now. We have no minimums. Welcome to Ruidoso. A lot of the, like NetJets and the ones that we see a lot of, they'll come in and tell us that, they landed in Durango or whatever and had to pay $1,000 a night.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon. So I figure $85 a night is a pretty good deal.
Yep. And we never saw the increase when we dropped the fuel. We really didn't see that much of an impact, did we?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, not really. When it came to we had the planes, and Lee's is tracking the planes too with the software he's using, but not the people that are, or pilots that are flying over here to fuel up. So I think you had, the traffic was a lot the same as last year.
Pretty close.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that was the big point.
Oh,
that
they're going somewhere else to
They're
get fuel, they
going-
won't land here.
Like before they even got here.
So now we know.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
And to come here and get fuel, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Right.
So,
But we're just talking about jet fuel. We're not talking about low lead.
well, I've got that on here as well. So,
On the very bottom.
on the, so the top two are your piston engines.
Mm-hmm.
That would be your Hunter low lead. And the small helicopter, that would mainly be Hunter low lead.
Okay.
So, see our prices there, $20 a night, $40 a night, $20 a night. So right now I've got three, small single-engine, airplanes tied down on the ramp. They've been there for about 3 days. So that would be $20 a day for each one. That'd be $60 times 3 days, that's $180. If, they bought 20 gallons of fuel each at $6.08 a gallon, that'd be $121.60 per plane. And that would waive one of those nights. So the,
Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Since we suspended, for a year and a half, I was thinking it was 2 years, did we do, a consumer price index increase as well? From the fees that we charged 2 years ago,
no, these fees are,
or still?
Yeah, we had a minimum on the fuel that was over and above our cost of our fuel, even though we were the cheapest in the region. Yeah, we had a minimum that we were still above that, didn't we?
oh, on our, you're talking about our fuel, yes.
Yes.
So on
Is that
our
what you're
fuel,
talking
we're
about?
still using a
Of the
formula.
rental,
On the,
He's wanting to know on the,
on the rental, on a nightly rental, hangar rental for $70 on that single engine, was that the same price that we had 2 years ago?
I don't remember.
Because I know on
looked
our
at it.
ordinances for the utilities, we have a CPI factor that plugs into all our fees. So that's where I didn't know if that still applied here, or, I mean, I don't remember setting these fees even way back when. I mean, I know we did, we had to have, but how long have we been just charging this? So that, you know.
I looked at the fee chart from, well, back before they quit doing it.
Right,
And I don't remember what the charge was at that.
at
when
that
I
time.
did this. When I was looking at it, it made sense, but I don't remember what it was. If I'm not mistaken, our consumer price index is, mainly geared towards our land lease
Right,
and our T-hanger lease, not necessarily our, nightly fees or like these fees here for these hangars. This is not to rent one of our T-hangers or,
Right.
or land lease. This is just our FBO.
I
hanger.
understand that, so,
A
but
nightly
that was,
rate.
I mean, I'm fine with it, I was just wondering if.
Matthew, does our park rental fees, T-Bone, or any of that, they're just set on a regular fee, there's no CPI? Yeah, it's just a fee, and we can change that fee anytime we want.
Right, and I guess that's what I'm getting at, is we evaluate. Okay, that's all I had.
Okay. And where did we come up with these numbers? It was off of our previous numbers, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we kind of looked around to see how we were, and it sounds like that we're still cheaper, and then we have our lav service and all that stuff that we're starting.
Yes, sir. And we've used that lav cart quite a few times.
Good,
So
good,
we use the GPU
okay. And then we
3-4 times a week.
interviewed a potential mechanic yesterday, so
Oh, good,
we're excited about him. And we're gonna do a lot of due diligence with him, and he acts like he's got some investors and whatnot to come in with him too.
One last question on that, because he just said it, the GPU and the lav cart, is there a charge for that?
Oh, yeah.
separate?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The GPU is $55 for a startup or $55 an hour if they want to use it to run their air conditioning system. And the lav card is $136.50 per service.
Okay, and all of that, once this is done and this and that, it goes on the website, so people coming in, if they've looked, they know where to find it and go, okay, when we hit the ground, it's gonna cost us $374.22, boop, bop, boop, whatever.
Yeah,
Correct. And I've got 3 different fuel sites that I keep our fuel prices up on, or 4. And there's places in there where you can put down your services.
Cool.
So once I get all this done, I've already added the GPU and the lav cart to the services on those fuel sites. So if we go with this, then I can add it as well.
Thank you.
okay. Anything else?
I would suggest regular, just so that we're putting it out there,
Because
we're
it's all new, and then they won't say, well, we
adding
didn't know.
back
and we
the
slipped it
fees
under
and-
the carpet.
All right. Item number 2 is discussion on a
Thanks, Lee.
multi-award
Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
of RFP number 2025-001P, professional engineering services for watershed projects to Cobb Finley and Associates, Inc., Natural Channel Design Engineering, Inc., and Wilson and Company, Inc., engineers and architects.
Good morning. We went out for an RFP. There was 3 on the panel who reviewed the different RFPs, and we scored them on September 19th. We went ahead and chose the top 3, which were Cobb Finley and Associates, Natural Channel Designs, and Wilson and Company for the watershed projects.
okay.
And I mean, I think that we probably needed, because how many of y'all get questions about what are we doing for the watershed? What are we doing?
Yeah,
So y'all want to have that on regular too?
I think so.
I would say,
Okay. Item number 3, discussion on professional services agreement with Cobb Finley and Associates, Inc., Natural Channel Design Engineering, Inc., and Wilson and Company, Inc., engineers and architects for watershed awarded through RFP 2025-001P.
These are just their contracts from the awarded RFP.
So we would have to do regular items before we do consent, so you just want to do this on regular?
on regular.
Okay.
I'm sorry, was number 2 consent?
No,
Yes,
reg-
no, regular, both of them regular.
We're still regular all the way down.
Regular.
Ashley, where are these projects?
They're not projects. This is just an RFP to hire them on.
Hire them to,
Got it,
Start doing our
When
work.
got
site
it,
comes up.
got it.
yeah. Lee, have you got any rock chips or anything on your new truck out there? Going to work every morning?
I had to get 2 windshields repaired.
No way. Y'all know what we're talking about?
Yeah,
They came in and did
220.
all the way.
Yep.
From 70 Lincoln, boom, 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 all the way to Ski Run Road, to Airport Highway, and then all the way to dang near Carrizozo.
And they just put chips on?
yeah.
And it's a mess. Item number 4, discussion on task order RFP 2024-004P-02 with Cobb Finley and Associates, Inc. for surveying and engineering services to create a storm drain infrastructure asset inventory in the amount not to exceed $154,491.75, including gross receipts tax. Okay?
So this task order is going to be, it's being requested to be awarded to Cobb Finley. They're going to send their survey crews out, and they're going to survey every single storm drainage infrastructure within the village. They're going to get inventory, they're going to get the condition, size, and then they're going to bring it all together into a GIS format, so we will have it for any future events.
So my question is, Michael, is this all reimbursable?
Yes, so as they work on the larger H&H, Mayor,
Uh-huh. Well, and that's the whole deal, where there's an H&H being done, but it's gonna
What
take
is an
forever.
H&H?
Hydrology and hydraulics,
Oh,
and it's
thank you.
to find out is our water runoffs, our culverts,
Yeah.
bridges, and all that.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. So yes, this is actually our section, and it's inclusive of that and expanding it in what we'll also be providing to the state. And so this is reimbursable, directly related to what's happening. The other piece that this is going to do is it allows us, once this is complete, and we were on a call yesterday where we're going to try and shoot for the biggest part to be done in 3 to 5 weeks. At the end of that 3 to 5 weeks, we send it to FEMA. FEMA will review it in 3 to 5 weeks, and then we can go after our first tranche of money that will help with that first set of projects. And so the idea is to set up at least a portion of money for a submission initially, and then we'll continue to work on it in the other 4 watersheds over the course of the next year. But this is 100% reimbursable, and it will assist us. The faster we get it done, the faster we get the numbers up to the watershed at the state level, the faster FEMA gets to review all of the information and send us back money on projects.
So this isn't coming out of our state money, it's
It will be, that money will be, yeah, it'll be additional funding to that.
oh, okay, so,
Another near, because they've told us 40 million, so we're at 22, so it'll be
Right.
another 18 that will be.
So we'll get, we have 22 now, we'll get another 22, because we'll get 44, they give us 50%. And then there may or may not be, we'll work together on the funding to see whether we use portions of this 22 million to help fund this project.
Oh, okay.
If we don't, this contract has to have specific language in it that requires certain information, how FEMA will evaluate some of the data. We're working through that to see what that looks like at the end of the day, but if not, it may come from us, our monies, and then it'll get reimbursed, again, once it's submitted, so.
Mayor, go ahead.
so it is gonna come out of our general fund at first?
No, we already got to 22 million.
Okay, so.
So we'll be,
Okay.
yeah, but
okay.
that was money that goes along to that, and I thought it was 18, I thought it was 40 million, but it's 44 million?
44, yes, sir.
Okay, and the county got 17? They're
They
gonna
got,
get,
26 altogether.
they're gonna
County.
get 26 altogether? Okay.
26, we get 44.
13 million. So out of that 22, we can pay for that out of that, or the way things go, the additional funding that we will get will come
And
in.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we're going to be,
Mayor and councilors, this project's currently budgeted in SGRT. So that's not using any of the monies because the procurement didn't have the federal requirements that you have to do, so there's no way that you'll be reimbursed by FEMA. So this is just coming out of our money in anticipation for the projects that are gonna be paid from the $22 million. Because I believe you need this in order to do the other projects. So we'll pay this one and we can use it as in-kind towards our match of the
Yes.
overall disaster.
But we will be reimbursed. They mentioned we will be reimbursed for this specific study.
So she's saying that it's
It's
because
not
of the language.
FEMA. There's no FEMA provisions or anything in it.
and Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we are
Oh, the
working on,
state's gonna reimburse
we're
us.
working on an RFP.
Well, that's where we got the other money.
Yes, and we're working on an RFP. We're going to list all the different disciplines on it, so we have all the language that's required by FEMA.
Okay.
So we will be doing a quick RFP for all our street and drainages, sewer, wastewater, for the watershed, all of these other, we're working on that, finalizing that,
Yeah,
so.
because the 22 million that we got was from DHSEM out of the 70 million.
Yes.
Right.
And so the state, and I just clarified with Judy, so it's not a FEMA reimbursement for this, it's a state reimbursement.
Oh, okay.
Because we are providing that information to the state, and they said this is 100%
Okay.
reimbursable because we have to fill out the H&H.
So when you were describing a tranche of money, that's what we're talking about, tranche?
Yes, sir.
It's a new word,
That
tranche.
first set of,
It's over buttload,
First set of monies.
crapload, tranche. Tranche load.
And Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we have to have all the minority owner, women-owned businesses. We have to make sure when we do these RFPs for FEMA only, you have to have all that language, you have to go in. So we're working on that, so that way they can't come back later and say, well, you didn't follow the procurement, we're not gonna reimburse you. So we wanna make sure we get our money back.
but these task orders and this scope of work allows us to do a lot of the work that we need to get done. And it also helps us, as we start moving with the floodplain, identify most of that information, what that's going to look like. This is what we were really kind of postponing for November. We've gotten some of the state data back. We're feeding back some of our data into the state models so that when you all do hear a public hearing in November, you'll have the best information that we can at least provide you at that point in time to say what direction you'd like to go with high water marks and additional footage and things like that.
And we've already put the map out.
Yes,
So
sir.
you've already scheduled a meeting for next Tuesday?
Yeah.
It was on
For the
Facebook.
public hearing.
Yeah.
No, the public hearing is not till November.
No?
It's scheduling the public hearing for November.
The one that was on Facebook?
Oh, my gosh,
I don't
because
know what's
somebody
that.
put out that it was.
From the
I thought-
village.
So
I-
in September, or
I
the
thought that
last,
we
the last
were having a
council meeting we
public-
had, we did request a public hearing. However, more people wanted to review the map, and because of that, the, public hearing got postponed.
Yes.
to-
Oh, well, y'all need to let somebody know.
Exactly. I didn't
Because
know
we got
that.
called on the radio station yesterday.
So just to clarify, the public hearing that we are having won't happen till November. There was a postponement, and that was in the last council meeting for discussion. We'll follow up and make sure that we can check our social medias. We'll work with Carrie to see if we can find that out and clarify. But we won't have anything until November for a public hearing.
Yeah, because we need to clear that up because I've been getting a lot of calls and we got several on the radio station yesterday. I didn't know anything about the meeting and then they showed me the post and it was for next Tuesday, I thought. And they were wanting to know,
That's what I thought.
yeah.
Well,
it was a
and that's
village
how I
post?
understood it, that it was scheduled
And we were gonna
to,
vote.
or it was gonna be on the agenda to schedule it for the November meeting.
I thought we were doing the public hearing October and we were going to vote on it in November.
No,
No, based on the discussion that council had in the last meeting, you all had asked to postpone it, and then we had requested some information be postponed as well from a staff perspective, because there was still flows from the state that we were looking at. That was the discussion of, could it be possibly instead of just 2 plus 5? And that's where all of that started, and so we said, let's wait till we get the state information, and you all had requested that in order to have that discussion, we wait till November.
and getting the maps out to the public
Yes.
so they could be reviewing it.
Yeah, well, we need to really make sure we make that crystal.
And then we won't vote on it till December
No, we vote on it in November,
after the public hearing.
after the public hearing.
Okay?
I mean, I suppose we can put a post of some kind of clarification that
So I just got clarification on where I think back and forth is happening. So the P and Z actually has to do a public hearing on the update of the firm maps as directed by FEMA,
On the what maps?
the floodplain maps.
Okay.
And so that is posted for today in the public hearing for P and Z. It's not at council. So what we'll do is I'll go back and see what that posting looks like on Facebook. We'll clarify what that information is through P and Z and the difference on what's going to be discussed for council and what P and Z is actually discussing. Because that's probably where all of that information is going to, the P and Z portion that the public hearing will be hosted there.
Okay.
Thank you.
And what's really strange is I'm looking at the Village of Ruidoso Facebook. I can't
It's
find it
over.
anywhere.
I get that too.
And they showed it to me yesterday, and they acted like that we were having a public meeting, that people got to give input on their map. And it's like, what choice do the people have?
Well, today we're having the public.
Come on over here.
Because that's what they were saying to me. Well, if I don't agree with it, what can I still want to build my house. So what's that discussion? That doesn't even sound right to me.
So last month, the planning commission did have a public hearing on the increase to add the additional 2 feet. We did not have anybody in attendance for that.
Okay.
The recommendation has been put aside. It was to come forth as we had put on the original council agenda to schedule the October meeting. But we did postpone that until November so we could get the second section of the ordinance also amended under the direction of FEMA to include the firm panel maps, and then to just strengthen the language in accordance with all of the national standards for FEMA. So there's just minor additions to the modifications. It's not a rewrite, it's just making sure that we're in line with the FEMA standards. And then today will be a recommendation to give forward to y'all for both, excuse me, the additional 2-foot requirement, plus the language changes and Ashley's map. And
Okay.
but that'll come to you guys in November.
Well, we put that map out already. So where's it at? I can't find it on our Facebook
The
page.
map,
I can't find it on the Facebook page either.
Maybe it was taken off or taken down.
Well, but her map came out, that facilitated a lot of questions. And then over this weekend, and then yesterday, I've got a lot of questions about if I don't like the map, because I've looked at it and I think I'm okay, and they think they're gonna come in and argue their case while I'm rebuilding. And I said, that isn't it, it's a review of the information, because, it seems like there's a misunderstanding, which is easy to do. So we need to make sure that we put that out. So where did we put that out at? Because people showed it to me yesterday.
So Carrie did post the original notice link for the meeting, and that would have been last Friday or the Friday before last Friday. And then last Tuesday, they reposted the link. It just has like the little speaker phone, and it says public meeting announcement, and it says the planning commission, and then you click the full packet link, and that would have been last Tuesday.
Mayor, and I think what happened is Elin Clark had the maps, and she posted on Facebook that today was the public hearing. And so she probably took it from that it was the P and Z, but all she said was the village is having a meeting.
Well, the one
And
they
I
showed
have
me
had
was on
quite a
the
few
village,
calls.
it was posted by the village. Nope, I don't think so. Is that the one, notice a regular meeting and agenda planning commission? That one you see, but maybe they clicked it, but it showed village website, it said Village of Ruidoso, it was on Facebook, and it said notice, and it had a picture of the flood map, floodplain map, and it was, the way it read was like, we're gonna discuss options on this floodplain map.
I have seen some posts like that, but they were regenerated posts by specific individuals, not by the village.
Okay.
So just like Counselor Letterman was specifying, she's seen the one individual. I also saw that same individual over multiple platforms with her own wording and then screenshots of the proposal map.
Okay, so we really need to work on making sure we get the proper information out.
And Mayor Crawford, Councilor Letterman, I did receive an email from Elin Clark also, which I forwarded to Ashley, and Ashley responded to her regarding the maps. So,
So Mayor, well, how is this going to roll out with P and Z today?
So today is the modifications to adding in the firm panels that were previously adopted in 2014. Right now, the ordinance just reads the 2014 firm. And that's it. So the FEMA requested that we strengthen the language and identify which firm panels were actually in enforcement. So Ashley has worked very closely with them to get sure that all of our language is up to date.
So your firm panels are gonna be your flood insurance panels, so comes out to a massive map, and somebody can look at their house and say, or their property and say, I'm in the special flood hazard area, or I'm in zone X. And so these were firm panels, and this is what insurance uses to actually determine insurance rates. And so the language within, like Stephanie was stating, the language within our ordinance did not state the firm panels, it just stated when they were adopted in. And FEMA wanted us to put those firm panels in The other language that we're adding in to help kind of reinforce it is all state and federal permits will be pulled before you do any work within the floodplain. That's all that's getting at.
So the only thing we really have say in this is that we are going to change the language.
And that's correct, ma'am. The one thing I want to clarify is we're just strengthening the language. It's all in the current ordinance. So the panels that people are referring to, they're already been adopted. It's just saying, FYI, we adopted them, but this is going to be what you're looking at, just to clarify, because FEMA wanted us to strengthen the language. So we're not doing anything to the ordinance itself other than changing the language to make it clear.
And Mr. Mayor, and I agree with everything you said. My concern is that when they have the P and Z meeting, these clarifications may not be well-known or understood at all. So are you going to have a presence at that meeting so that you can rein in what I consider a difficulty that could occur during the meeting?
Yes, we will have, we do have members of the committee that have been working on the updated map. So we'll have Ashley, Adam, Mike, Alex will be there, and we'll do the presentation and then be ready for any questions.
I appreciate it. I think that'll make it go much easier for P and Z.
Have you confirmed with P and Z you're going to have a quorum?
Yes, sir, we will.
'Cause I just talked to Rick, and he's out of town.
Yeah, there's only going to be a potential of one not making it today.
Okay, good.
And so P and Z, what is P and Z going to do today?
They're basically reiterating what had been done and what had been voted on, and that's basically it.
Okay.
And just to let you know again, because nobody from the public showed up at the meeting, correct?
The
So
first
that's
one.
kind of what you're doing, is saying, okay, here's what we've codified,
Yeah.
or we're voting on, and that we're going to codify later. And hello, everybody, hear ye, that's what you're doing.
Correct. So whenever there's an ordinance modification, whether it's brought up
Okay.
from y'all
It has
or
to
from the citizens, it'll come to P and Z with the recommendations. They'll view the document,
Okay.
see the recommendations, and do their discussions, hold the public hearings, input all of that back to the document, and make a recommendation for either approval or denial back to the council. We'll give that document to you guys. You guys will hold another public hearing and then either vote to adopt and modify the ordinances or deny the request to modify.
And what would be the reason to deny it?
It seems like that would put us in jeopardy if we did.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Those are just the options that P and Z has to
Okay.
submit.
It's just part of the pro forma
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
process.
And just also another piece of clarification. So this meeting was supposed to go along with the ability to hear the October meeting for council. That's why it's so early on instead of the November meeting, or it would have been later on, and then you would have had your discussion in November. But we didn't move the P and Z meeting to align with the November meeting. It was just continuing that process, so you'd be ready for November.
Okay, I want to ask a question. So right now, I come in and I'm in Upper Canyon, and my house was partially damaged. So I'm going to tear down part of it, build part of it. I'm bringing you the plans, and it's in the flood plain,
Yes, sir.
okay? So
So the first thing we're going to ask.
we're already good with that.
Yes, sir. So the first thing we're going to ask you to do is provide a letter from your,
Engineer, architect, what?
no, from the appraiser. And they're going to ask, are you 50%, what's the value of your home? And then do you have 50% above damage or 50% below damage?
And that comes from their adjuster,
That comes from their appraiser.
their own appraiser?
Yes.
Or they could also get a contractor to do a cost estimate. Contractor can come and get a quote. They could say, this is how much it will cost to repair your home. We will take that value and we will compare it against the county assessor's appraised value, and that will also give us a number. If they don't want to get their own appraiser, so they have two different options. Those are the only options, so.
Okay.
Okay.
sorry, go ahead.
I have-
We're in a position to go ahead and move forward on some. Has there been any?
There have been a couple inspections. I have not heard if they've met the substantial rate, for the repairs or not, so. that's-
Okay, so you said money. So one conversation I was in, it was about you have a box and 51% of that box is still good.
Yes, sir.
It didn't matter about money, but now then it's about money. You just said
It's about,
51.
it's about value. So it's.
Well, that's money, isn't it?
Yes, sir. So it's, if the damage is over, if you have that box and 51% of the box is estimated to be okay, then they're good to go. They can stay the same, they get grandfathered in.
Yes.
That's still
Yes.
confusing to me because the estimate's money.
Yes, and
The
so
repair,
it's,
the replacement.
yes,
So
so,
we know it's going to be higher than the appraisal.
correct. So they have the appraisal
Guaranteed.
value, and if a contractor or an appraiser comes in and says, this is how much it would cost to repair, and now we've hit 49%, let's say, of that appraised, their official appraised value for the structure only, not structure and land, then they are good to go. They can go get a building permit, and just follow along with.
Yeah, so if they just had a little flood damage, they've got
Yes, sir.
swollen wood
Floors.
floors, and they can come in and cut sheet rock out, and the house is valued at 300 and it's gonna cost 80. You're good to go.
So two examples that I've specifically dealt with.
Uh-huh.
Had a person in Upper Canyon, they came back, the home was at 500,000. The damages were 320,000. They're above the 50%. If they would have to tear down.
And build up
and
on
then
stilts
build
or
up
whatever.
To whatever the new requirements are gonna be. We can't give them that permit to build yet on the new stuff because we're not there.
Yeah, we don't
Now,
have-
we did have a house that was like $200,000 and they had $12,000 worth of damage on the floors. Exactly what you said. They can come back in, they have the estimate, they get the permits, they can go to work, they're grandfathered in, to that area because they didn't have as much damage as over that 51%.
Okay, is it clear? Mud?
Yes. I have one more question. On the maps, and I've had several people at the White Mountain area where we now have the water going through the links and all of that. I didn't see a map for that. Is that all in the floodplain
So
now?
that's on the online map, and the Lynx Golf Course, a lot of these areas, all we did was draw in the 2014 firm panels. It wasn't because there was damage, and so like your Bog Springs was added in there.
Yeah.
And that's actually from the 2014 panels that was adopted then. It was not, there was no change.
Okay, so those people don't have to worry about,
I mean, they theoretically might be in the floodplain. A lot of people didn't realize they were in the floodplain. And I think with the flooding that we've had this summer, it's really come to the forefront of people
Right.
wanting to know where they sit when it comes to the floodplain.
Okay.
And so a lot of properties that you wouldn't think were in the floodplain are actually in a floodplain.
So where's that online map at again?
If you go to the village website, at the very top, you'll have the recovery dashboard. You scroll about halfway through.
Recovery, okay, there it is, South Fork Salt Fire.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we need to have her put the map there, because it's, I was looking through everything else, okay?
You have to scroll about halfway
Halfway,
down.
And it's
That's right.
embedded in.
Yeah, right after the FAQs, you'll see it.
okay.
And then we have a little disclaimer on there,
So
just stating it's a draft.
they don't have to worry, nothing has changed since 2014.
For the areas that were impacted, that you're seeing your property on the map, those were actually 2014 firm maps. The areas that were impacted, floodway has stayed exactly the same. We did not go in and we did not change the floodway. We changed the floodplain, which is the orange hatched area on that map. And so people may or may not be in the floodplain. We've had some people actually call me up, not realizing their property was in the floodway. And
And you're talking
I
about
was-
Olive Ruidoso or White Mountain?
Olive Ruidoso.
Okay.
We're just gonna pull it up so you all can see it really quick and how the public would find it.
Yeah, because I'm still not found it.
It's way down there.
If you click right there, And then scroll about halfway down.
Past all the other,
Keep going. It's you
past
have
the
to
key
literally
metrics.
Scroll for a while. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Right there.
oh,
That's what I just found, but I
Uh-huh.
found it on my laptop. It might
Press
be
OK.
more on that.
And scroll up just a little bit. So this is the map that people can see. You want to explain what the boundaries are?
Yeah, so you'll have the village boundary. The blue area is your floodway. This was adopted in with the 2014 firms. The orange hatched area is going to be your floodplain. As property owners zoom into the map, the parcels and the addresses will populate. The reason being, we didn't want it to look super cluttered when you first got into the map.
So for example.
Oh, wow.
In the blue area, if any of those homes, oh. Sorry. You're fine. Go a little bit more to your left, just so you can pull up a home, or that's fine. So for example, you have 106 and 108 in the blue area. If those homes were, and 100, if those homes were damaged,
Oh, those are just definitions
yeah, you can
that you
scroll
can
down.
have.
But you see the addresses, 106 and 108. If those homes were damaged, because they're in the blue area, if they're 50% more damaged, they cannot build back today, in today's standards or anything we adopt. They have to tear down and they cannot build back.
But they can't put it on, no.
not in the floodway.
Not in the
That's
floodway.
Not in
right.
the flood.
That's right.
The blue area is the floodway. So let's say
Right.
106 and 108 were completely damaged, 100 was 49% damaged. So 106 and 108 would
100.
be torn down and nothing can be built back there. 100, because they're at 49%, can rebuild and they're grandfathered in. But if something else happens to them in the future and they're more than 50%, they have to.
How can you sell that? Same thing?
I'm sorry?
You can sell the house,
Yes, sir.
and then the new buyers, it's the same deal.
It's linked to the property, it's not linked to the person. And so if someone buys that house with it already having been damaged and grandfathered in, it's okay, but people have to know, if it gets hit one more time, you lose the house, if it's more than 50% over damages. But then you have homes like, and it's interesting, because you'll have parcels, like 119, the very corner, that tip is in the floodway, but more than likely, the property isn't. So
The house isn't.
the house
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
So the damage is directly related to the structure, not the land. So if that structure is damaged at 50% or lower, or 50% or lower, they can rebuild exactly as is. They don't need to do anything. But if they're at 51% damage, they would have to knock down the house, and then they would have to rebuild at the new standards. So they, or not knock down the house if they don't have to, but they would have to raise the elevation of the current home to whatever the new standards are.
And then if it's over, if it's in the floodway and they're not able to rebuild and it's damaged beyond the 50%, 51%.
Yes, sir.
And so they don't have flood insurance. And so we're working on, because that's conversations that we've been talking about on what happens next.
Yes, sir.
And so the insurance company, they pay you more if you rebuild. And so they'll get paid on what they had it insured for, which we know that about 70, one figure I heard was almost 80% homes were underinsured because of the way property values have been going. So, and then, but a lot of the insurance companies have a kicker of 120%, 150%. And I heard one that they got 200% of their insured value of their total on your policy. So if it's $300,000, they paid up to $600.
Are you talking about floodway?
Any, doesn't
Oh,
matter.
okay.
The house was wiped out by
Okay.
flood or fire.
Okay,
And so they were getting paid double. Not all insurance companies are doing that. And so I've got a meeting at 10:30, Zoom with the OSI, to talk about these things. So they're going to get paid some money, but some of the insurance companies aren't doing that. So the people are losing money, or they're not able to bill back, and their insurance isn't going to pay because it was a flood, and they didn't have flood insurance. So none of the regular insurance pays, but they still have a mortgage. So we're trying to figure out, is that come under condemnation? And what are the rules and how does that happen? And where do they get the money from? And so those are questions we're trying to find out is, do we get that through the state? Do we get that through FEMA? How do we go to help these people?
So, Mayor and Council, what I'd like to do is, in an explanation, break it up into three categories. The first category is what happens to the house. And so ultimately, if they're 51% over on damages, at some point in time, the village will have to have a discussion on condemnation and condemn those homes that are over 51% in the floodway.
We need to have that discussion now. I mean, we need to get
sir.
prepared because it's happening.
Yes, sir. And so
Yeah,
what that
people are
does.
asking big time.
Yes, ma'am. So there's two levels, and I want to make sure that we're clear on what condemnation happens. So there's two parts of condemnation. Anything that is modular, the state handles.
Yeah, that's-
100%, that's not us. Anything else, we handle, and we can have that condemnation conversation, but we have to make sure that our condemnation ordinance is up to date, what our process is. And then there's a whole process that still has to be followed on what can happen with a condemned property. And so what we would do is talk about condemnation, what that looks like, and what we would have to do in the floodways. Once that happens, once a house is condemned, private insurance takes into effect, they look at different things, they figure out their area. Outside of that private section, there's the public section. And Mayor, this is what you were asked and what the governor was asked the last Saturday in the meeting, which is, well, how are you all gonna take care of us? And basically, the answer is, we don't know yet. So the state is having a discussion and the feds are having a discussion, and there's two possible programs. FEMA does have a program that buys out land and property, but that doesn't usually take place for 2 to 3 years after the disaster occurs. And the reason that doesn't take place is because they go through all the studies, they figure out exactly what the, Cobb Finley's gonna do for us. What do the new floodways look like? What is the impact? What is the long-term flooding, issues? Who's being impacted by those? What floodplains expand? Once they do all of that work, then they come back and say, okay, you were at X% over. Yes, your house was condemned. It followed that process. We can technically buy your property at this point in time. But that's a program that, one, has to be approved and has to be implemented for the disaster area. We have not even been considered to be approved or even discussed about that yet. That's a long way away from the FEMA side. What the state's doing, and I have a 9 o'clock call with them this morning to verify, we're advocating as the village that just like we got the 70 million and just like we're going to request further funds in the future, there's a disaster claim where it's one of our categories. It's a category F, I think, or E, I forget which one it is. But we're basically allowed to purchase land, the villages. And so what I've asked the state to do is say, either you as the state or us as the village should have to figure out how we solve these people's problems today, not wait 2 or 3 years until FEMA can do this. And we're requesting that the legislature take a look at possible funds to be able to get reimbursed by FEMA. Because if the program does this long-term, this is one of those categories that could be reimbursed by FEMA. There's a lot that goes into that. One, if they said yes, we'd have to do long-term planning. We'd have to identify what those floodways look like. This is that discussion where people are like, oh, the village is gonna buy my house. Well, we're not there yet. But if that was a program that rolled out, now you're talking about having to go into the river and say, okay, we're gonna make all of this area floodway. You're gonna have a plan on what that's gonna look like. Most people get upset because at the end of the day, it ends up turning into like river trails or areas that people can walk on, and it looks like it's just regular recreational entertainment, but it's not. It's a true floodway. It actually protects all of the other homes in that area, and the feedback you get is, why are you turning my house into a trail?
Yeah.
That's not the case. I mean, it is the case, but it's because it's a floodway. We're having those discussions to see if the state can advocate for those funds, to see what it looks like. There was some mention of it on that Saturday, and so we're pushing all of those discussions as hard as we can to say, if you're gonna do it, we need to identify it now. Internally, well, at the state level, we've identified they've identified 72 properties that are in the floodway. We are mapping those on our map so that we know where they're at. What we don't know is the percentage of damage. If a large majority of those homes are 51% and over, we are trying to use that data to let the state know, look, these people, one way or another, are gonna lose their homes. And either they will have to be condemned by the village, they already know they're not gonna be built back in the floodway because of our ordinance. So we're trying to prove to them all of the issues and penalties that exist for these homeowners and say, we have the ability to help them if the state decides to put funding there to purchase these homes or to purchase the properties. That's still in discussions. There isn't the program that's rolling out. There isn't anything that's there yet. We're just actively having these discussions as we speak.
So who would put that through? DHSEM for the funding? Because you said we're working on legislation. I haven't heard any of it.
Legislatively, DHSEM
Is the one that's gonna be working on that?
LFC is working on those funds to come back for disaster-impacted communities.
Okay, good.
Oh, and Mr. Mayor, Michael, it seems like the linchpin to this seems to be the fair market value of these properties. You have three entities at work. You have a federal, a state, and a local. Who exactly is determining that value so that you can then determine whether or not they fall under grandfather clause or they do not?
So the general acceptance principle is that home values prior to the flood, prior to the fires, are what they're utilizing.
And would that be through the county, for
That
instance?
would be the county assessor, their appraised value.
So it's fair and equal for all, at
Yes, sir.
least.
But both the feds and the state have agreed to, prior to flood and fire, that value is what's being
What they
utilized.
use.
Which, all the homes that I've seen sell lately are way over what they're paying on taxes. And so that's where the ointment's gonna be, or what their loan value on it was. So when you say the village is gonna condemn, this is where we've had this sticky wicket. So I always thought that their insurance company would send in and look at the price of or the cost of the damage and have a figure. But no, we're not doing that. We're sending out an appraiser. Is that what I heard? Or are you gonna put it all on Dave and the planning and zoning inspection department to go out and say, this building is condemned, it's not safe to live in?
So that's why that discussion is not at this table yet. We are trying to figure out and work through what that looks like, bring a best practice in, and if we need help, have someone come in from the outside. And so because of the flood and the fires, and we have these disasters, the first thing we're trying to do is figure out how it's reimbursable so that we don't have a direct impact to the general fund. The second thing that we're trying to do is figure out who goes out and does that. Is it Dave and our inspectors, or do we hire a third party to come in, utilize a specific set of points that say, you have the estimates, you're doing the appraisals, this is what it says, you're getting the information from the property owner because they're already trying to figure out whether they can rebuild or not. That goes into a whole other assessment, and then based on the ordinance that we have, match that up for what would need to occur, and then move forward with that condemnation.
See, and I never understood, and this is where I get lost with the FEMA guys. You've had this happen before, and we know it's happened in Maui, that they've paid. And so what criteria do you have? Because that's ultimately what we're doing. All we're doing is picking at the grain right here, and then that's all this kickback. So why doesn't FEMA say these are what we need? And then the state program can adopt to that, because that's what we're doing anyway. And then it tells the village, how do we get that money?
So right now, Mayor, to your point, that's happening right now. So the state is actually fighting FEMA on how much gets paid and how long. So we were excited about 60 days ago when we were notified that we would get 100% of our A and B categories paid out. But you still have C through G. And so those C through Gs are still at a 25-75% ratio. My understanding is that in Maui and in Hawaii, 100% of all categories were paid for 120 days.
Right.
And so right now, we're only getting 30 days of A and B being paid out. And so the state is advocating, even if it's only A and B, do it for 120 days or for a longer extension than just the 30 days. Because obviously, we've had other impacts. What that means is that, so for example, bridges, roads, culverts, they're a category C. So if you have $300 million, or let's say $100 million in damages, which we have a significant amount more of, right now they fall under your 75-25. So 75 million would be paid for by FEMA. The village and the state still have to come up with $25 million in order to do those projects. And so the state's argument is no one can come up with those funds right now. In order to match the project, you either need to go to a 90, 10, or 100%. And so if they do those and cover the other projects, C through G, then our bridges, our roads, our culverts would be paid for. That's currently not paid for. We're having to figure out the 25-75% discussion, but the state's making that fight. It's a good thing and a bad thing for the village. We're not able to submit our A and B expenses, but we are able to submit all the other expenses. The problem with that is we put the state in a position of, we're undercutting them on a negotiation strategy because we're trying to get the money as fast as we can. But by doing that, it forces the state to have to accept whatever FEMA is going to provide them unless we hold off and say, we're not going to submit until you tell us it's paid for at 100%. So double-edged sword.
In Mayor Crawford, members of the council, just thinking back on the Dolly disaster, at that time, Governor Richardson, I believe, was in office, but the state took 18% of that 25%, the village was 7%. So right now, we're only at 7% on the sewer in the current disaster with the 1783. Going back to having possibly outsourcing some of with the floodplain, I have reached out to the New Mexico Municipal League. We're working, trying to get a contract in place, and we're working on that so we can have someone assist us with this, with the floodplain, the floodway, and all this other condemnation and all this, so.
And we have a lawyer assigned to us to help us work through this. And we're gonna be talking about that this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever, I'll be in Santa Fe. Okay.
So I apologize. I know we started with Cobb Finley, but a lot of that revolves around the work that we're actually doing to try and move things forward.
Okay.
I don't think any apologies are necessary. I think this is a Pandora's box. And I kind of get the feeling I'm trying to find out where the bead is under which shell. And it seems like a moving target, so.
It's very frustrating.
Well, and we're not even the ones affected.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not our house. It's not our stuff, albeit some are that are in here, but yeah.
Right.
Well,
that's
and
what's-
we have some that lost their house that are get their insurance money. They're moving forward. We have others that are in limbo, like along Suttereth, RV, whatever, different ones. They don't know they've got some insurance money. They don't know to go back in and rebuild, refix it.
If they can.
If they can, and then there's others that are like, well, we're gonna be in the floodplain, so I need to get my money out, but I don't have flood insurance. Or I do, but it only pays a maximum of, what was the maximum? That the guy told me that it was like 250,000 maybe?
I think there's a number that people are getting. I think the other thing that people are waiting on, and we're understanding this from insurance, some of those flood pieces, if a person has fire insurance, it will cover the flood issues because
It was
the floods were
linked to
caused
it.
by the fire. The state still has to produce a letter, and that's the other piece that this information.
Their lawyers
is.
are all fighting over all of this.
But the legal side is that they're waiting for a document that basically says, yes, the burn scars caused the flooding. And the information that we're providing up to that H&H helps to craft that letter, but it's not done yet. And until that letter's done, insurers are gonna continue to be fighting and people are gonna be in limbo because there isn't a document that supports that the floods were in fact caused by the fires. They're not just taking that as fact.
Who determines that?
The fire, well, it's going to be ultimately up to FEMA,
The state H&H.
that they're going to say, okay, we will accept. And then, but see, insurance is where, who's directing insurance? Because we've had these arguments years ago in flooding in Florida. Okay, well, I wasn't in the floodplain, but you have all this water damage. And so they came in and said, well, it's wind-driven rain caused by the hurricane that caused the leakage. So then that's where you have hurricane-proof windows, doors, all this other stuff that sometimes fail and whatever, and you still have leakage. So the insurance paid for it. The insurance fought, and then they came back and said, we'll pay a percentage up to on wind-driven rain. It's the same thing. You had the fire, the flood is caused by event, this peril. And so these perils are linked. And so that's where you get into who's paying for what. So that's some of the conversations I'm getting ready to have with the superintendent of insurance and these others, is they're fighting those battles to say, insurance company, this was a fire event that subsequently caused the floods. So it's all one event. And they're saying, well, two different things. We'll pay for the fire, but we're not paying the flood. That's why you have flood insurance. Well, the flood insurance for people in the floodplain. So they're having these conversations, and it's just like badminton, back and forth until somebody blinks. And then it's going to be up to who's going to be paid. And the insurance companies now, through reinsurance and all this other stuff, are saying they don't have the money, that it's going to cause our rates. And some of them are threatening to leave not just our state, but a lot of states. And there's places in California where you can't even get insurance. And so we're working on, that's where all these conversations are going to. I mean, none of this is simple, but when you try to explain this to somebody that's house is in that limbo state, they can't hear all this, because I'm still confused, and I'm in a lot of these meetings and listen to these people, and it changes slightly. So I don't know what we do, but I know that I'm not smart enough to figure it out by myself, and it's going to come down to who's going to pay. And that's what it all boils down to. And so as they save the banking industry, some of those, and let's not get into all that conspiracy, because I believe it all, but you go to the insurance, it looks like there's going to have to be some sort of bailout at one point or two. And even though they do spend millions of dollars on buildings and stadiums and advertisement and all this other stuff and executives and all this other stuff, that they're saying that some of this is going to have to be propped up because the reinsurance companies, Lloyd's of London, and there's a handful, are not able to keep up worldwide. And then you've seen what has happened in Helene, where they lost 128 people, and houses that had been built up 8 feet on stilts still got wiped out. And so you're looking at all that damage, and so it's, the whole world's getting ready to change on this stuff.
So I will say one last thing based on your comment, Mayor. The reason we're moving so fast is because we also realize that there's other disasters. The second that those other disasters take priority over ours, we're gonna get stuck in a period of having to wait. So we're trying to be as aggressive as we can to get as much of this through as we can, so that we can get these reimbursements, the ordinance changes, all of it to align so that we can get funding quickly.
Okay. Does anybody have any other? Okay. So we understand we just need to really, if we can get something out to clarify, the meeting is today at what, 10?
2.
At 2?
P&Z is 2.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank
But
you.
that's what's so difficult about all of this.
I know.
And sometimes it helps if you haven't been in all the meetings, because then you can grab onto the train of thought. But then sometimes when you've listened to all of this, it gets so convoluted that it's hard to keep up. Well, I thought we were headed with this logic, and now we're switching to this logic.
And Mayor and Council, that's why, we have a meeting, we want to see it in writing, because
Yeah, oh yeah, and they won't put it in
I
writing.
was, last Saturday when the governor was here, Ally said, yes, you'll have your grant agreement on Monday, which was last Monday. We haven't received it yet, so And the general said, "Oh,
I
told
called the mayor a month ago.
He said, I talked to the mayor a month ago, it should have been.
And he told me it was going to be here tomorrow
So
morning.
that's why we don't get everything in writing, and that's what we need to do. They need to submit it to us in writing, so
And
we.
they're waiting on somebody else to
Yep.
guarantee. So it's a difficult task for sure. Okay. Y'all want that regular too? Item number 5, discussion on award of ITB. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley.
Ashley, 2025-002B for automated fuel dispensing services to Bell Gas.
Lee just went to the bathroom. It's like, what are you thinking?
Well, this is not
Oh,
Lee.
it ain't?
It's
Oh,
solid.
my bad,
There he
man.
is,
I thought it
Jerry.
was out the airport. I apologize.
No, this is, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you getting run over by a bunch of mattresses the last few days?
Oh, my gosh, you ought to see our neighborhood. They're
What is going
everywhere.
on?
I don't know.
All the
Bed
houses,
bugs.
all the houses that flooded, they had
Oh,
to,
okay.
bring them out and put them on the dirt
Just
piles.
everywhere.
Oh, you mean we're not supposed to pick those up?
So what's changing here?
So Mayor, this is the same people, we went out for
Yes, sir?
bid and a couple drew down on this. And ultimately, we have the same one that we have had, and everything was working very well. And, it's for the village to get the gas over here at Bell Gas.
And so you said it was working well, or it still
It
is?
still is.
Okay, so you're good with it, and we looked at all the bid opening summaries, and,
Actually, the only one, there's some that drew down, but only one bid. There's some
Okay.
people that have it now.
okay? Any questions, anyone?
No,
Consent.
consent.
Okay, we'll do consent.
Pretty much for both of them, because the other one is awarding the contract.
And then consent on the second one? Okay? That was easy.
Thank y'all.
Thanks,
And
Jerry.
thank you for
I
waiting.
feel cheated all of a sudden, or maybe rewarded, I don't know. Thank you, Jerry. Because I even know in my neighborhood, and they don't look waterlogged, stained or anything. It's just like, maybe they had a big sale and they're just now getting them from Labor Day. I don't know, but
I do have a question, though. On Meacham Drive, right where Adobe Plaza was, and as you're kind of going up, the guardrail, there is a mattress stuck in the guardrail right there at trees and everything. Can we not get that because it's not our property, or?
are you talking about, huh? Is that over there by Arnold Duke's place up the river on,
It's on the Adobe Plaza side, and it's a mattress that has just been jammed
Huh.
into a tree with debris, but it's a mattress.
okay, well,
I don't
we'll
know,
have
you may have,
to, Adam, if you'll just take a look at it and see what we got to do to get it. And then, have we followed up on anything with Las Cruces? Remember on them wanting to send 200 people here?
Alamogordo.
Was it Alamogordo? It was Las Cruces.
Oh, Las Cruces.
Mayor and council, so I talked to Eric a little bit yesterday, and I know we're trying to coordinate the best time to bring him up, with him. And so we're looking at possibly when we're gonna do the community cleanup.
Yeah.
Have them all come up then, if that works for them. If not, we're still trying to.
What is that,
coordinate.
October 17th?
The
20th?
Yes.
It's a Sunday.
And so will they do it on a Sunday?
I don't know, and that's what I gave the date to Eric yesterday, and so.
Eric, our Eric.
Yeah, our Eric. And so we're gonna try to coordinate that through him, and if it's not that date, then we're working on a date that they will come up and.
Because I think that some of the things that we're talking about is
Yes.
actually going through some of these points that we still have debris, that we just need to find some ways to get over there and get it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Mayor, if we can't coordinate it with the October 20th, with Las Cruces coming up here, is there any way that we could have our employees merge with theirs and have a cleanup with them? It seems kind of weird for Las Cruces to come and we don't help.
Well, we've already
this.
done all that. That's why they understand we're tired, that our employees
And
have been
I
tired.
understand.
So it would be a volunteer deal, I think, that, hey, you're not gonna do your regular job, or you're gonna do your regular job, and then you go out and you have to work, then you're gonna get paid. And this other stuff's a volunteer to us. And that's what the mayor, he's now the chairman of the Mayor's Caucus. We just put him in, and I talked to him a little bit, and he said they were just wanting to show support for the village, and like people sending truckloads of food and that kind of stuff that we don't pay.
Yeah, so I'll coordinate that more with Eric. I just actually found out about that.
Because if we had the money, we'd just hire an outside agency to come in and say, we want you to clean all this up. And we're asking for the, what's the name of them? The volunteer organizations, the Baptists and the.
Baptist men.
What do we call those?
Non-government,
Moabs?
or the non-government,
NGOs.
NGOs,
No,
non-government.
that wasn't what they call them. They're a volunteer, volunteer organization, something or other. VOAB?
That's the acronym, yes.
Yeah, and so we were talking about getting them back, and now I fear,
They've
that they're
headed to
gone.
the East Coast, yes, sir.
and so that's the whole point, because of financially stressed, all the other stuff that's stressed, and then that's one way they wanted to help, but I thought they were gonna pay them. That's what I was told, and they were gonna send 200.
I believe so, is what.
And so I didn't know, we gotta work out the logistics. Are they getting hotel rooms, whatever? I mean, how, are they coming down, working, driving 2.5, 3 hours, coming down, working for 3 hours and then driving back? Or just what is the impact? So who are we having handle that? Is that something I need to do, you need to do?
Mayor Crawford, I'll reach out to the city manager from Las Cruces and visit with him.
And we just need to figure that out, because we had talked to, we just swagged that on the radio show with T-Bone about maybe we could coordinate them together, but on Sunday, that might be tough.
And it might be, and like I said, it's one of those, if we can, then it's gonna be nice, because we already have the.
Going that day.
Yeah, the infrastructure going on that day. But if not, then we'll work with them.
Then we need to have a declaration of Las Cruces Day or something in a big appreciation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we'll definitely work with them, and, I talked to Eric, and we'll make sure that we keep track of all that debris, not only for his side, but also for our grant, our sides too. It helps with our
Yes,
stuff.
sir, T-Bone?
Mr. Mayor, Council, someone just texted me a little while ago and they said, at your cleanup, can I pick an area, which I'm assuming it's their house?
Yeah.
On the river, and will we come pick it up?
I think,
So that's something, that could
that's
end up being a lot of stuff. I would wonder what you all would.
what do you
think
mean
of
a
that.
lot of stuff?
Well, I don't know how much.
Talking about them cleaning out their garage?
No,
Oh,
just stuff on the river, and would we pick it up?
So essentially get it if they get it to the right of way, will we come take care of it for them?
well, that's what we're doing on the
I believe
cleanup.
that's what we're doing
bags.
anyway, so.
But so what we need to do, specify, because usually we put everything in a trash bag.
Yes.
And so, but I do know there's some stuff in the river when we've been down there that was a swing set at one time.
Or a hot tub, or.
Yes, we picked up hot tubs, we picked up couches, refrigerators before.
And that's October the 20th?
Yes.
So I guess we need to, y'all put together a plan, and then you're gonna have Jerry left, but get with Jerry, find out what we can do, what we can't do, and then give us a recommendation at the next council. So we need that as an agenda item, I guess.
Okay.
What was the item?
Well, that on the Keep Ruidoso, or which one is it?
It's a Tosnomas.
Tosnomas, that what type of items are we picking up? And then we have, that could be just a regular Tosnomas.
Yeah.
But the other thing with Las Cruces is, I thought they were talking about more of a general cleanup where we could go into areas like you and I discussed there on Sleepy Hollow, back up off of Meacham, how there's still some trash there. We've got places like that, but it's going to take somebody can be pretty technical, agility-wise. that can get in there, not twist an ankle and fall over and. So that's a lot to ask. So what would be the agenda item? Would it be, do we listen to a presentation? Do we expand our items that we normally pick up that don't fit in trash bags? Because Ron and I have drug stuff up from our little area that we do, and we put it by the dumpster or get it in the dumpster.
In Mayor and Council, we might even talk to Ernie with Universal Waste and see if they might want to partner if we need to use, just for other things, we could visit with them also.
They could use some goodwill right
Yep.
now.
That would be, it would be an informational item if we had everybody at the table, right?
Yeah,
As to what-
so we can either do an item or just an update.
So we don't really need it as an agenda item?
Well, I would
Under
put it
the-
under your report.
Okay.
Mayoral reports and presentations.
Your report, and
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Hey,
can
can
do,
y'all do that?
yes, sir. Yeah, we can do a mayoral report.
Okay. So what we're expecting is, do we just keep this, the regular one? And maybe if we expand areas like what we were talking about and we, because usually we just let everybody pick out, y'all are going to this. And I know every year we end up doing the same area, that Midtown on Rio.
Well, I have areas on the river, that are private property that I've always sent people on, like the Sleepy Hollow. We always, if I have plenty of people, we do that. We go from, the bridge at Paradise all the way to, Gavilan,
Yes.
stuff like that, which goes through private property. No one's ever said anything.
And so the people that are saying, hey, I want to clean up my own property, so do we tell them to come in, sign in, so we get credit? Here's your
Yes,
bags.
yes.
Fill up these bags and then set them out by your dumpster?
Well, I mean.
That's what we do anyway. We set them on
Yeah.
the corners and,
And, we've had, like in Paradise, we picked out couches and
Car
refrigerators, and
parts.
we haul those off also.
Tires.
But this is just different because of the flood.
Yeah, so with the trash bags, Parks and Rec actually goes and picks up most of those trash bags.
Yeah.
We go and pick those up to take the burden off Jerry and his guys, but it'll probably need some help from them and some help from Green Waste and stuff, just because if we do have that much debris but part of it also is if they come sign in, then we'll know where to go. pick
Yeah, and
stuff
that's
up.
the-
Well,
point.
that's the key. They
Yeah.
would have to come sign it.
everybody got it?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you,
Thank
gentlemen.
Volunteer organizations active in disaster.
That one, yeah.
VOAB,
That's
that's it. VOAD. VOAD, yeah, that's the ones. Okay. And then, we'll have a closed session where we're gonna discuss, contracts. What is it? It's not water rights, so I guess it'd be discussion subject to attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened pending. No, that ain't it either. Discussion on limited, no, personnel. Discussion on purchase, acquisition, and disposal of real property and/or water right. Think that will fit into it. We'll discussion on the contract with the links. Okay, so that'd fit under number 3 bullet point. And then we'll do that in closed session.
We may have, Mayor and Council, Olivia she'll be on or be here or whatever we're gonna do, so.
Yeah.
So,
That's, no. Well, I mean, Cree may
that's
be
part of it, yep. We can give an update on all that.
All the water rights. I just never before, up until recently, we've never had to specify every item we're talking about.
So the issue, it comes down to if action needs to be taken.
Well, then we bring it out. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, we want to talk about Counselor Hooker, so I'm going to say, we're going to have a special session talking about Hooker. You know,
long time ago, Irma used to do that, especially if it was a court case, and she would list the court case number, and I think that was the extent of it as far as.
because we used to just do read the bullet points that we're going to talk about any one of these three and not be specific to say, here's our playbook.
So some of the Open Meetings Act, some of the litigation from the Open Meetings Act, it just, the public has to have reasonable, to know within reasonable specificity what you all are discussing and acting on. So suppose you went into closed session to consider the contract of the village manager, and that wasn't specific on there, and you came out and you made action on that, well, the public can come back and say, we didn't even know that was a consideration. So that's where that comes in. Did I explain that right, Zach?
Yeah, but I think that it extends to items that are not going to be acted upon, in particular litigation, because
So
you
the
don't have to come out here and tell the world what your
No,
litigation.
one of this is just, we
Right.
can't talk about it because it may be hearsay, it could be something pending, we don't know. So I don't want to say, hey, I know that you're talking about suing us, but I want to let y'all be aware that these things are brewing. See, that to me sounds ridiculous. It says right here, the closed session, we're going to be, discussion is limited to personnel matters or discussion on this, attorney-client privilege. And then we're not coming out and saying, hey, we're going to enjoin this. We're just saying, I want y'all to be aware.
Right, the discussion part, Mayor and Council, is, that's fine to have that as it's listed there. It's just that if we know, in fact, and I'll just use the contract of the village manager, if we know in fact that we're going to come out and either approve or disapprove that item, then on the limited personnel, we would just need to put consideration of the village manager's
Well, and all
contract.
I'm wanting to do is have a private discussion on some issues that have
That's
come
fine.
up.
We
It's
don't
not
have-
public knowledge because we had a
Correct.
private contract that the public doesn't need to understand the intricacies of a private business at this
Correct.
point.
That's, then the way that it's worded right here is
So
fine for
that's all we
that.
need to put on there.
Okay.
Because I get confused that one minute we have to tell everybody, here's what we're going to discuss. I just can't tell you the exact language that we're going to talk about.
Right, so if we know specifically and for sure we're going to be taking action on a specific item, then that would change the language on the discussion part. And just for clarification too, there was an Attorney General's opinion that the mayor is considered part of a quorum. So we won't have to have that.
That's what I
Well, we
was
know for
saying.
sure now, we found that, it's been clarified, we won't have to have that stressful discussion again.
Okay, so then we'll have the regular agenda, public input, presentation of new employees and promotions, presentation of retirement plaque to Jared Wilson. Well, I didn't even know he was quitting until he was gone. I mean, that was, I wished he'd have let us all know. So we'll give him a plaque. Does everybody know Jared? Village Manager's Report, is there anything specific y'all want to know about? We'll see what's on. Public hearing, ordinance granting certain rights and privileges to Tularosa Telecommunications for their licensing. It's the same thing that we did with Windstream and those guys.
Yes, they had an existing, already had a,
And then, I think that was it, pretty much.
So Mayor and Council, there will be two requests for public hearings. One of them will be for the floodplain map issue, and then one will be for a liquor license consideration for Pecos Flavors Winery for a liquor license at Jack's Backstage.
Say that again? Who? I know, but Jack's Backstage, but who's liquor license?
Pecos Flavors Winery LLC.
Okay, so there's going to be three items.
Two.
On public hearings?
Right, they'll be under consent as two requests to schedule public hearings.
Okay. Okay.
We just want to remind everybody about the museum opening,
Yeah, the 17th.
18th.
And,
Parade's this Saturday. DC, did you get volunteers, or you think you got it covered for traffic control?
I think we've got it covered. I got several volunteers, but I think we've got more than enough at this point.
Chief, did you talk to the employee committee about what gonna be doing? Oh, Eddie?
5-5.
What do y'all got a float? You're gonna pull, push?
I gotta talk to Cheryl after this meeting, actually, but they have a plan together.
Okay, because we were gonna have the chief and maybe his wife and we were asked Chief Joe too, but he's gonna be gone. You know, kinda, because they did let us know they were retiring. That, you know, just, and give them some stuff to throw out.
Goodbye.
Adios.
Adios.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And then, just to give a quick update, is anybody getting questions on Carrizo Canyon and Grindstone? Where all the excavations going on?
A little bit, but.
And so we're finding out that there should be a traffic study done. We're working on that, Ron?
Yes, Mayor and Council spoke to Dave Myers and with Alex yesterday, and they're going to require a traffic study because we're going to need to, just like we had to do one on Meacham for our housing development. If you have all this additional traffic, how they're going to get into the property? And that property is on the county, is in the county. And then we also visited with Adam and I with Jeff Honeycutt. He's the road superintendent for the county. We had a call in of somebody was pushing some debris or whatnot into the river, and
I
so they're
saw
looking into
that.
that, so. But we'll get with Dave on that and see what they need to do. It's gonna create a congestion and other additional traffic.
So if you haven't been by there, you go by and look.
Oh.
They've done a massive amount of work. in
Yes.
this. You
Cut quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's
And
the-
then I understand that they bought that property, and then across the road, supposedly they bought that property, and that Ray Edson and his investment group, and then they're gonna sell off portions of it, that Mark Marquez is supposed to be building some high-end condos. Because Marquez is building that other stuff up there. If you go up Carrizo
up on
Canyon,
top.
and you go by Graham's, and you go up there, he's cleaned all that out, and back where that guy used to have the camel and all that. And so you're gonna be getting phone calls, so it's in the ETZ, but it's in the county. So we're asking for a traffic count. What else? Does notifications need to go to the public?
I would, Mayor and Council, I would think they need to put a notice out on there with, especially, you know, you have all that area, that intersection and all that, so.
But who
We'll see.
regulates them? If you're saying it's out in the
exactly.
county.
Yeah,
what's
that's what I
ETZ?
was thinking.
We're in that.
We only do the building inspections, though, that's all we do in the ETZ. We don't do
Yeah.
any of the planning part of it. It's gonna have to be from the county, and they don't have, you know.
Because, yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. Do they require?
No.
The county doesn't require.
They don't require any-
Traffic count, and
No.
they could just, even though we're saying it.
Yeah.
But they're abutted to Gavilan Canyon Road. And isn't that in village limits?
Gavilan Canyon Road.
Grindstone,
Not, Grindstone.
Yes.
Grindstone Canyon.
yes.
And that's in the village, that strip where we got all our material.
Yes,
Parks and Rec was, because that was in the county for a long time.
yeah.
I don't understand that.
Did you need something, Adam? Oh, you can cover it? So anyway, we're working on that, because I'm surprised y'all hadn't got a lot of calls. I've started getting them on the last few days. And like at Goomba, I drove over there, looked at it, we went and looked at it, I didn't think about traffic start. As soon as they said it's in the county, I went, oh. But it's right there, and those folks that live there are starting to call.
Mayor, do you want Alex, he can give an update on that project there at the council meeting under manager's report?
Yeah.
That way
would
he
be
can,
good.
whatever they're working on?
Yeah. And those of you who don't know, if there's a lot of bridge work going on. Adams guys went ahead, the state was taking so long that they went ahead and started installing railings on, Second Bridge. They're gonna start, the state's getting ready to start on Malone, the wooden span bridge. They're rebuilding that, the state's doing that. And then, we put, the W panels or the barriers on, we're calling it now, North Grindstone, but right there at Fern Trail.
Right.
And then, I don't know about the other repairs on all of our other bridges, the temporaries, you know, we had some that when we did all the inspections that had some bolts broke. Fixed it, okay. And then, we're still trying to find out on the engineering long-term on those bridges. Adam, is there anything else you can think of that?
No, it was just guardrails at Robin Road.
Yes.
North Grindstone, Main Road 2, they're moving over to Sleepy Hollow, and they'll clean that road up. Anything that MDOT has, during the inspection found, the street guys are not fixed, we need some buildings, some concrete, stuff like that. All the bridges are passable, passable, Sleepy Hollow, except for, and it's in the DOT, it's on the
Probably should have been asked to, Jerry, but they've piled a bunch of stuff there at the softball field. Debris right next to the dumpsters. I don't know.
Softball field on Gavilan?
Uh-huh, yeah.
I didn't even.
Robin, can you check and see maybe? She's out there listening.
Robin, she just answered, or she,
I'm sorry, Counselor Hooker, what were you asking again?
No, not
Robin
you, Robin.
Bryant.
Robin Bryant,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Thank you. No worries. It's been piled up there for a while, and I don't know if it's fire debris, flood
are
debris.
you talking about them whites?
No, it's, as you come right past the softball field and you've got the announcer stand, the concession stand, all that, right there to the right, there's 3 or 4 piles of stuff next to the dumpsters.
I haven't even noticed it.
Yep. Robin? Hello? Nope. She just had it on. There she is.
Can you hear us, Robin?
Any rate, you don't need to answer, just if somebody can go by there and look at that and see if that's something to be picked up. Now,
On Gavilan.
seasick.
In Mayor and Council, Adam and I, we met with Francisco with Department of Transportation, and we've, Frank Sanchez with Sandbar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On the striping there in Midtown, they're gonna come back and redo that, laying that in additional, some striping there where people are parking to keep people from areas that they shouldn't be parking, so they're gonna redo that in 2-3 weeks possibly. I mean, they're gonna use a winterized paint, and then they're gonna restripe the upper Sudworth again where that well faded. They're gonna redo that too for us, so.
And if we can get Adam to give an update on Starlight, the plan going forward, because I know we're getting ready to move on that pretty quick, to how we're gonna handle that. That whole little corridor right through there.
And then we're working on the relocation of the sewer line at the track, and then Adam's got another project here down below Meacham and Sudworth, behind the Allsups in that area, trying to set a lift station there on Sudworth
We
itself. on
signed
South-
the agreement while we were in Santa
Yes.
Fe that we're getting almost $4 million between the two, enough to move the one up behind on DOT property for lift station there behind the Allsups on Sudworth and Meacham. And then to move we still working on the engineering because still I haven't heard, Rick Baugh has not, nobody's talked to him. Have you heard?
I actually talked to Rick Baugh and gave him a couple options, a couple weeks ago. I'm working with Marty Howell right now. I found another little, easier way to do that. But one of the things that I talked to Ron yesterday about is the current crossing where the manhole's fixing to fall in. They're gonna basically armor that and leave that open right now, or for the future. So if I need to know what that crossing is, if it's armored underneath, how deep it is, everything else. So if we gotta get a contractor out there and actually dig that and get eyes on it, we may be able to use that existing crossing and just move it out of the track, come back, and then use that existing crossing instead of having to go down below.
Because Rick told me this yesterday evening that he's leaving town today, but that they're supposed to get a contract the state has agreed to. They're gonna hire a contractor, and he was hoping that they would use a local contractor, mainly Tanner,
Yes.
to rebuild the track, but he's talking about moving the track solely on the north side of the track, cutting it to an eighth of a track.
Yes, sir.
Eighth track. And so, but still, we're hearing that we're moving forward on one, and then, but are we making sure that, that's the whole thing, is we wanna make sure it's all working together.
Yeah, and I've talked, when I did talk to him, I said, I gave him the two options that we talked about. And I told him that about exposing that sewer line, that we needed to know exactly what it was, and we'd come back to him and let him know exactly what we found and give him the options, because he says he didn't really have a problem with it, he just has a water line in there that he's worried about, whatever. He's happy that we're gonna get it out of the river, and he's gonna use the north side of the track, but just to let him know, and, what our final plan was, and then we'd move forward with it.
Okay.
And we also need to obtain an easement on that property also.
Yeah, from the
We have an
Miller Trust.
existing one, and then we'll have to,
Okay, so we got the funding and everything already coming for that. They approved it.
we received the 2 executed grant agreements yesterday.
Okay, and I found them yesterday. Okay. Anything else anybody can? A lot of balls in there.
Boy.
And I know who the big movie star is that may be coming to town.
Oh, just keep it up.
Secrets.
You
Y'all
don't
gonna
have
love
to worry
it.
about us.
Let's have,
You're gonna love it.
Eddie can, with his voice, he can just, and you'll know once he tries to talk like him.
But it's pretty good. There's several movies coming, and we're looking forward to Daniel Cummins coming back and helping us see if we can figure out some way to do a little documentary on this stuff that we've been through. Okay? Anything else, anybody?
Mayor and council, at the last meeting, it was mentioned that you may want Cobb and Finley to present on the H&H modeling. Is that something you would still like them to come and do?
Do y'all want to have that on the H&H? And who is that?
Cobb Finley?
Oh, Cobb Finley. Have they already done that, or they're getting ready to do that?
So during the last task order that was awarded to them, the amendment task order, they did begin the work already. And so we had that meeting, Mike and myself and a couple of others, we had a meeting with them yesterday, and that's the modeling that they're going to focus in on certain watersheds first to try to get your results within 5 weeks.
All in the village.
Yeah, so I directed them to work on the upper Rio Ruidoso watershed first, and that actually covers majority of the Ruidoso boundary, and it will cover a big portion of the South Fork fire that happened.
So that will get Brady and Perk,
Yep, it will cover those
because
as
we're getting a
well.
lot of folks up there that need some answers bad.
Yeah, so this modeling covers pretty much from where the fire started, a little bit to the south, and then all the way up to the northern reaches of the village
So
boundary.
did y'all want to have them to give you a
Yes.
briefing on it? Okay.
I say yes to go on that.
So can you get them that set
Yeah,
up?
they're ready to go. I brought it up to them last council, and they're making a presentation right now. We just wanted to confirm you guys wanted to still.
Okay. I know we're forgetting a lot of stuff because there's just so much going on.
And I've been seeing a plane dropping seed up
Yep.
on South Fork right now.
Yeah, they're dropping seeding, and then after that, they're using a material called long chip fiber. And so we've got a bunch of these logs that are stored out here on county property that we're working with disposal. We got people that want to use it. One guy wants to try to convert it to char, a lot of heady stuff. But what the state has paid for it, and so we can't give it away. This was determined yesterday. But they're going to use these logs, this wood, in a process that's like chipping, but it's still different. So once they've dropped all the seeds, and that's what they're doing now, it's going in a grid pattern. They're going to drop this long chain something, and they said testing has shown that it sticks to the ground where straw would dry out and wash away and blow away. This stuff sticks to the ground. And so that's going to be happening this whole week.
Mayor, what other item is going to ask Adam? He's going to give an update on Perk Canyon. He's actually trying to get some work done on that area there.
Good.
So that'd be a good, another item we'll have on there. And he's already starting to look at material and things like that. So we have a plan in place.
Bobby asked me about that at church the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough up there.
Jerry Parsons wants to call because he can't unmute to talk to you about that trash.
No, or Yeah,
Yeah, with the,
at the softball field,
on the softball field?
and just tell them we
I just was gonna have
need
to
to
look
get
at
it
it.
picked up and,
Jerry.
do we,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, they can hear you.
So all that over there at the ball field, that is mud debris that we were not supposed to pick up. Are we supposed to start picking it up now?
No, but it's mud degree. We were just asking questions on it because it hadn't been brought up. So what we'll do is turn that into John Moon, and we'll have DRC have someone assigned to pick it up. Now, you got enough mattresses and water softener systems to pick up, from what I've seen. So, okay, we'll get on that, but that's mud debris.
Yes, yeah.
I'll visit Cody also. Cody.
Okay, cool. We'll
Thank
get on
you.
that. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
I knew it was stuff, just didn't know.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but I've dropped through these so much that I quit looking.
Well, it's everywhere.
Sometimes that's what happens.
I just drive and I don't even see it. And I know, did we ever get the stuff down at the RV park down there? That was piling all up. Did we get the ROE signed for White's?
It was signed, yes, and John Moon and him and a FEMA rep went up there and they're working on that. So I don't know where they're at this point,
And
but
I have
yes.
seen people out there with little vests on, walking around, doing stuff Tuesday of last week.
What about on Sutterth Drive? It was at Rebecca's across the street from Cattle Bear, and you know how everything's built up? And we were talking about trying to get the town back to where you can't really, that it looks cleaner. Is
Well-
that something that they just do to help their buildings?
Well, what they were doing is trying to build a berm, so the floods, and so that's where I haven't heard the official ending of monsoon, have you?
No.
And we've been told that it's coming, so whoever's that person, I guess at that point, that's when we'll start picking up those berms.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's some work that needs to be done up by the bridge there, by Two Rivers, to work on, and then right there at that Rudos RV park, they're talking about doing some kind of plan that will then save that RV park, and the one next to it, which is La Salsa, Turkey Foot, all of those, because they're trying to get it back into the river.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of these programs that are going on. That's why when we finally get a final determination of what work's going to be done, whether it's NRCS or whomever, I'd like to get it publicized. Because there's work going on that I just go up and look, and it's either through DRC or through one of the contractors that's building it up, or it's someone's insurance money's paying to do it. And that's the question that we're getting is the insurance company's only going to pay for it once, the debris removal, and then that's spent. Those VOADs, same way. That's why they left, because they said, this is not what we're built for. You know, we're coming in one and done, we're out. And this is, we're coming back after every flood event. And eventually, we're going to get a briefing, I hope, from the tribe on what's being done by NRCS up on their property. Because there's supposed to be work, they're like us. There's a lot of planning and talking, but she hadn't seen any action.
any action?
And we're starting to see action. I don't want to sound ungrateful that we're moving forward.
Yes.
Can we invite Jennifer from the forest to come?
Okay.
Because that just brought it up, because Park Canyon, the questions there, are they doing any of the retaining wall? What are they doing for mitigation on the forest?
What's her position there now?
Well, she's still,
Well, she got moved to something
right,
else.
they
and you
moved her
got-
for that
you
and then.
got
Right.
JW.
I know it. Let me find
Or
out.
somebody,
Yeah, I'll-
because there's a new superintendent, I didn't know,
Oh, in Alamo.
in Alamo, yeah, I didn't know that changed either.
But hers was supposed to be just temporary.
Yeah, but she's not doing what she was doing, JW?
Yep.
Is it JW, JR?
JW.
JW took over, and he said that once this period's over, she'll take back over.
Yep.
But I do know that one, so what was the guy's name that retired in Alamogordo?
Mosley, was it Mosley?
Mosley, Travis Mosley.
Travis Mosley, yes.
Yeah, I don't know who this new person is.
Did you get that, Yvonne? We'll give her a call.
Yeah, I mean, just the update, we're seeding all that, but also the main thing is the mitigation, flood mitigation on forest land.
Yeah.
Particularly Brady Canyon, Perk Canyon.
Not, okay.
Yeah. Okay, we can go on for hours on these little
Oh,
things.
yeah. But
Okay, anything else? Eddie, you don't have anything spectacular that you'd like to change the mood with at the next meeting? Okay. Sometimes you feel like you're in that old game Asteroid where you're just shooting your ass off. And you know you're gonna get
Something's gonna whack you.
in a minute. Okay, thank y'all. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
meeting's adjourned. Thank you.